Hearing the word cancer makes you stop in your tracks for sure. Certainly, I never really thought about my thyroid, so I was like, I didn't even know there was such a thing as thyroid cancer. I mean, I know people who have thyroid issues. I was surprised and scared and shocked, and all of those things rolled into one. In the back of my head, I'm thinking, how am I going to get through this? What am I going to do to get through this? As soon as I was diagnosed, we started searching for a surgeon. And then I found one up at Newark Beth Israel in New Jersey. And he said, a lot of people are going to say to you that you have the good cancer and not to worry about it. He goes, but don't listen to them because that's not the case. So I had my surgery and he said, let's take out the one side that has the tumor. And then he said, if it comes back with definitely a diagnosis of Hürthle cell, we'll have you come back in and take the other side out. After I had the surgery, they said, this is likely to have traveled because my tumor was very vascularly invaded. They say if you have less than 2 vascular invasions, that it probably won't spread. I had 22. When I had blood tests, they said my thyroglobulin was very high and that it was likely something was brewing in my lungs. And I said, well, why don't we just remove it? And they said, we can't because what we can see is what we can see, so that means there's probably way more that we can't see. And that's what we're going to expect to see growing. So I'm like, oh, that's great news. So what do I do? And that's when we started talking about clinical trials. I started clinical trials at Sloan. I was on a couple of very beginning phase 1 drugs, which is hard because I know those drugs are the ones that are testing toxicity, so a lot of times you don't know what's really happening and if it's really working, but that's part of the process. Felt great, never felt bad, never felt diminished really in my capacity to walk and talk and live and do my job, but they said this is going to keep creeping up on you, so we need to find something that's going to halt it. My husband was searching on clinicaltrials.gov and said, I found this trial at Penn Medicine. Why don't you email the research nurses that are listed here? And within 15 minutes, Dr. Marcia Brose from Penn called me and said, you need to come here, we have solutions for you. And I was on that treatment for about 4 years. Dr. Brose at Penn has always explained to me that the drugs that are coming in the thyroid cancer research world are all based on targeting the pathways of how your cancer grows. She said, don't worry, I'm going to have an A, B, C, D, E plan for you because we're developing all these drugs, and lenvatinib is the one that I think is going to be best for you. She said, even if you have to wait for it, it's going to be worth waiting for. And I waited about 4 months, and that was a tough time. The cancer was becoming visible on my body. I could see lumps and bumps and things popping up on me, and it was really a scary time, and I thought, this could be it. Is this it? And thank God for lenvatinib because I started that on the clinical trial, and then 4 months later it was approved by the FDA, and I'm still taking it today. I'm happy to be feeling good and looking good. I wasn't able to gain weight on my last drug. It made me lose weight. I was down to about 98 pounds. I'm now rocking 116 pounds, so I'm happy. In my eyes, I'm doing everything I can to pay it forward. I have this disease, what can I do with it to help? So I'm going to pay it forward by being on clinical trials, by speaking to different organizations and speaking to different patient groups and going to group meetings to try to help make sure people understand that even though I might look good, I still have the disease and I'm probably going to have it forever. I think hope comes in many forms. Hope comes in knowing that there are clinicians and researchers out there that are working on my behalf. That gives me hope. If I had been diagnosed 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't be here. So I absolutely have hope and have faith in the doctors that I'm working with. I think it's our obligation as cancer patients to participate in clinical trials. We have the disease, so we need to pay it forward. You need to do something to help advance research. And by being in a clinical trial, you could help oodles of people in the future. And if we don't, they're not going to learn. People say, oh, you're a lab rat. No, I'm not. I'm a person who's making a difference to the future of cancer care.